the image of the peaceful land of joy behind me in the background, and I'm not sitting out on the front lawn because of COVID lockdown. It's all online today, so I hope you're all coping with the lockdown and wherever you are. So we'll start just with a little bit of traditional Tibetan Buddhist motivation for this practice, with a contemplating the mind, the conventional mind of enlightenment, thinking for the sake of others, wishing to attain complete, perfect enlightenment. So we'll just do a few minutes of gentle, relaxed breathing meditation, just to be present, to settle down wherever you are, on a cushion, on a chair, on your couch, wherever. Just sit down, relax. Settle the mind. Settle the body. And just observe the coming and going of your breath. The rising and falling. Gently breathing at your own pace. Just breathing. Just to be present. Centering here and now, where you are. No need to think about before or after. Just relax and breathe. Just watch the rising and falling of the breath. Entering and exiting through the nose. So if your nose is blocked, breathing through the mouth is fine. Just slow the mind. Relax. And observe the breath. We're not doing nothing, we're just breathing. It's a rare opportunity to just breathe without any other requirements. No thinking, none of that necessary. No planning, no recollecting. Just breathing. Naturally, joyously, simply breathing. We take our first in-breath at the time of our birth, and our last out-breath at the time of our death. In between, we breathe in and we breathe out. Just breathing, allowing the rising and falling of the breath. Just letting the breath gently, effortlessly settle the mind. Okay, keep breathing. So we'll see where we're at in today's session. Last week we looked at the need for a guru, a spiritual guide. And we require a teacher in every aspect of life, from primary school, high school, university, at work, people to assist and advise. And in our spiritual practice, where we're working with our mind, we have a guru. The Tibetan word is lama. In English, you could just say teacher. But a guru is more than a teacher. We went through the 10 qualities of a guru last week. They're in Geshe Acharya Thubten Loden's Essence of the Path to Enlightenment book, where he quotes Maitreya saying, rely on a guru who is controlled, pacified, completely pacified, who has more knowledge than you, and so on. And if the guru does not have the 10 qualities, then the guru must have 5. If 5 are not possible, then 3. So this week, we'll be looking at Chapter 2 in Geshe-la's Essence of the Path to Enlightenment, which is on life, this life of ours. Our life of leisure and fortune. We need to appreciate our good fortune, the conditions that we do have in our life. It's very easy to think, my life's not good enough, this is a problem, that's a problem. And there are always problems. That's why Lord Buddha taught the Holy Dharma. Samsara, cyclic existence, is a problem. And the practice of Dharma is to overcome all suffering, step by step, slowly, but continuously, until we attain enlightenment. And we could really look back at what Shakyamuni Buddha's Four Noble Truths, where he said, this is true suffering. This is true source. This is true cessation. This is true path. Know the suffering. So we have good experience with this. Abandon the source. So we need to know where our suffering comes from, its causes, its effects, karma. Attain the cessation. So we want nirvana, we want enlightenment. And not just for ourselves, but for all sentient beings, all limitless, countless, numberless other sentient beings. So meditate on the path. So Lord Buddha went on to say, know the suffering, then there is nothing more to know. Abandon the source, then there is nothing more to abandon. Attain the cessation, then there is nothing more to attain. And meditate on the path, then there is nothing more to meditate on. And these are the four noble truths of Lord Buddha. So on our path to enlightenment, we need our Guru, the Buddha. And then we need to appreciate this life to make it worthwhile and meaningful. Lama Cuppa explains, the human form at peace with itself is more precious than the rarest gem. Cherish your body, it is yours this one time only. The human body is one with difficulty and is easy to lose. All worldly things are brief, like lightning in the sky. And you must know this life as the tiny splash of a raindrop, a thing of beauty that disappears as it comes into being. Therefore, set your goal and make use of every day and night to achieve it. So we do need to appreciate this life we have and make good use of it for the benefit of oneself and others. And with the correct motivation, we can make this life useful and beneficial for all sentient beings. Through transforming our mind to be aware of the fact that all sentient beings are suffering. We think we are, we know we are. So we can meditate looking at the various realms apart from human, but we'll start with the human realm and ourselves. So generally, the situation we have in the Western world with our freedoms and opportunities are a wonderful opportunity or time to practice Dharma. There are many human beings who don't have these opportunities, who are just struggling to survive, to find food, struggling with awful conditions in wars, civil wars, countries that are very corrupt, living just hand to mouth, not having the opportunity to listen and think and meditate on Dharma. And sometimes, even for ourselves, our strength of practice becomes more important when we're suffering in times of struggle or pain. So if we look at these conditions, like currently with our COVID-19 conditions around the world, or the lockdowns in Australia along the East Coast, people are suffering mentally, financially, emotionally. So we need to know that our practice of Dharma is a practice of the mind training for the benefit of all sentient beings. So we can meditate now, just expanding the mind, being where you are, thinking of others, and with the mind of the pure, good heart, just allowing your thoughts to go out, to encompass, to understand, to appreciate the suffering that occurs beyond oneself, beyond our own suffering, that all sentient beings are suffering in their own ways. So expand your mind, thinking of all sentient beings, meditating on love and compassion, in the human realm, for the poor, the sick, homeless, elderly, those facing death. From your pure, good heart, bodhicitta motivation, thinking for the sake of others, and with the wish to attain complete, perfect enlightenment. So imagine very strongly that from your heart you are sending out love and compassion. and knowing how quickly things change, impermanence from moment to moment. Utilize this opportunity for meditation on benefiting all sentient beings. And meditate with the wish to continuously have the ability, the time, the conditions to benefit all sentient beings. And think, all these beings are just like me. They want happiness. They don't want suffering. How wonderful it would be if they all had this thought of love and compassion for all beings. And knowing that things change very quickly. Things change, finances change, health changes, accidents happen. That we could be in the position of any of these people who are suffering much more than ourselves. And that there are 7 or possibly 8 billion human beings in the world. All of them just wanting happiness, just like ourselves. So meditate with an expansive, open heart of compassion for all human beings. Knowing that no matter how good their conditions are, things change. All sentient beings experience suffering. Then expand your mind to the animal realm. The suffering of animals is much greater than the suffering of humans. Humans have the ability to change their conditions, their environment, for better, sometimes for worse. Generally, animals are where they are. Wild animals are in the environment that they're in. And when there are droughts, they suffer. And fires, they suffer from fear of being attacked by other animals. And their fear of humans. And then there are animals for human consumption. Billions and billions of animals. Their only purpose is to become food for humans. So expand your mind with great compassion and love for all the beings in the animal realm. And generally, these are the only two realms that we humans perceive. But in the Buddhist understanding of worlds, there are humans, there are animals, and all the animals, insects, mammals, fish, everything, billions and billions, far outnumbering human beings. Then outside of these, there are hungry spirits that we don't perceive, who suffer from hunger and thirst. And then there are hell beings. And even though we may say This is just Buddhist, maybe mythology, but we know there are hells, even for humans, in bushfires or war zones, momentary hells. But there are hell realms, hot hells, cold hells, where beings experience unrelenting suffering, pain for their entire lives. And these meditations, these teachings are not just to freak us out. They're to generate compassion for all sentient beings. In all situations, all environments, all conditions. And there are God realms and demigod realms. The gods suffer because they are sentient beings like ourselves. And though they have long lives of great indulgence and good fortune, when it ends, which it does, there's only one way down. And the demigods are just jealous of the gods. And we can see all of these conditions, these variations upon these, just in the human realm. The God realms of wealth, celebrity, royalty, good conditions. And the jealous gods, the wannabes, fighting their way to the top. And knowing that all of this is samsara, cyclic existence, life after life, round and round. Struggle to make conditions the way we want. Karma, cause and effect. Karma ripening, changing those conditions. The unwanted experience of suffering that all sentient beings are going through. So from our heart, we wish all sentient beings to be free from suffering. And while we have this life of leisure, time, the conditions to meet Dharma, to have the opportunity to listen and read, to think, to meditate, to utilize this time with the wish to attain enlightenment, to benefit all sentient beings. There's so many wonderful meditations and practices bringing the mind to think of others. And as Shantideva, the peerless master and great scholar and bodhisattva, explained, whatever joy there is in this world, all comes from desiring others to be happy. And whatever suffering there is in the world, all comes from desiring oneself to be happy. So think about that. How does that work? All suffering comes from desiring oneself to be happy. Because by excluding others and all the things that others provide are no longer necessarily directly there. All our conditions are because of others. Our birth, this precious human rebirth, is dependent on our parents. Our existence is dependent on all the beings that provide things for us. Everything, from the moment we're born, the simple things that we know at that time, just clothing, warmth, shelter, food. Everything comes from others. Houses are built. Many people build the house. The materials come from somewhere. They come on roads. They come in vehicles. There's electricity. There's water. There's sanitation. Supermarkets. Schools. Hospitals. Everything comes from others. And by expanding our mind to think of others, then we're part of that. We are part of all sentient beings. Like a raindrop in an ocean. This vast expanse of sentient beings. And the Buddhas care for all sentient beings. So that's our Dharma practice, to aspire to attain enlightenment, to benefit all sentient beings. And this very life provides that opportunity to create the causes and conditions to step by step attain that enlightenment. And we can meditate on the four immeasurables: love, compassion, joy, equanimity. Immeasurable because the merit of these meditations is beyond measure. And immeasurable because the number of sentient beings is beyond measure. And that we are part of this immeasurable number of sentient beings. So we can take a few minutes here to meditate on the four immeasurables. The first one is great love. So imagine how wonderful it would be if all sentient beings had happiness and the cause of happiness. So just imagine that. Let your mind enjoy that. How wonderful it would be if all sentient beings had happiness and the causes of happiness. And start from where you are. This is all about your experience. This is your path to enlightenment. So just expand from yourself. You're part of all sentient beings. Then expand out. Let your mind expand to encompass, to embrace your family, your neighbours, your friends, your suburb, your city, your state, your country, your planet, your solar system, your universe. All sentient beings, all universes. Imagine that. How wonderful it would be if all sentient beings had happiness and the causes of happiness. It would be wonderful. Then think, may all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. And then with a pure, good heart, think, I would like to be part of that, bringing all sentient beings to happiness and the causes of happiness. So then request all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, the enlightened mind of all Buddhas, to give you waves of inspiring strength, to quickly attain enlightenment, and bring all beings to happiness. To really imagine that it's possible. Happiness in the form of complete, perfect enlightenment. And then meditate on compassion, the wish for all beings to be free from suffering. So with a strong wish, imagine how wonderful it would be if all sentient beings were free from suffering and all causes of suffering. Imagine that. No more suffering. So expand your mind, your meditation, encompassing all beings, starting from where you are, where you're presently sitting. Allow the mind to go out in all directions, up and down, out across the landscape, through the earth, through the sky. The wish for all beings to be free from suffering and all causes of that suffering. No more suffering, no more causes of suffering. So imagine that. All beings in all realms beyond suffering. How wonderful that would be. So now think, may they be free from suffering and all the causes of that suffering. And with that pure heart of love and compassion, take the responsibility to assist all beings on their path to the freedom from suffering. And then request the blessings of all Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, all holy beings to assist you on the path to enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. To show all beings the freedom from suffering and the seeds, the causes of suffering. The third immeasurable, joy. How wonderful it would be if all numberless, countless sentient beings were never separated from the happiness which is without suffering. So imagine that, all beings in a state of bliss, the bliss of enlightenment, beyond suffering. None left behind, all beings experience the happiness which is without suffering. Beyond any seeds of suffering that may ripen. And the fourth immeasurable, equanimity. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion and indifference, holding some close as friends, others as enemies, and others just as strangers. Just imagining them all equal, having a mind of equanimity, love and compassion for all beings. May all beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. That is our wish, that all sentient beings may abide in equanimity. Then make a strong, pure, superior intention. I will step by step attain enlightenment to benefit all living beings and place myself and all beings in a state of equanimity. And request the blessings of the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas. The Buddhas are our gurus. Our gurus are Buddhas. And their blessings are real. Dependent arising. They bless our mind. to feel the blessings, the Guru, Buddha, Bodhisattvas. Blessing our continuum. To assist us to quickly, easily, effortlessly, and spontaneously bring all beings to a state of equanimity. All beings to experience enlightenment. Because all things are dependent arisings, all of this is possible. And genuinely, strongly feel from your heart, from your mind, imagine just how wonderful it would be if all beings had happiness and the cause of happiness, are free from suffering and the causes of suffering were never separated from the happiness which is without suffering. And that all beings could abide in a state of equanimity beyond us and them, of great love and great compassion. And that is the purpose, the point of this precious human rebirth, this life. With the leisure and conditions, the good fortune to meet the holy Dharma, to be able to practice Dharma. And to do it joyously, and with a strong mind. And we can contemplate the 6 perfections on the path. All these things we can learn in this life. Generosity, ethics, patience, joyous effort, calm abiding, meditation, and wisdom, perceiving the actual nature of reality. So we'll just take a few moments. I'll have a perusal of Geshe-La's Essence of the Path to Enlightenment. There's some wonderful verses in here that Geshe-La chose. One from Nagarjuna in his letter to a friend. Nagarjuna says, "He who uses a gold vessel embellished with jewels to hold filthy vomit is stupid. Even more stupid is the one who, though born as a human, engages in evil deeds." And our good friend Shantideva, "Having found such leisure, if I do not become acquainted with virtue, there is nothing more deceptive than this. There is nothing more foolish than this." So I think that will do for this week on appreciating our life, our precious human rebirth. Next week, we will be looking at what comes after life, death. And so that's a wonderful thing to meditate on. Death is definite, its time is uncertain, and that our good fortune of having the practice of Holy Dharma is the most wonderful thing that you can have at the time of death, when all other things are left behind. And death is from a Buddhist point of view, death precedes the following life. So our death, we pass away, we go to an intermediate state, and then we have another life. So from a Buddhist point of view, have a good life, have a good death, and keep benefiting all limitless sentient beings through all lives. So we can dedicate the merits of our meditation practice and listening, thinking, contemplating these teachings of Holy Buddha, and think, by this virtue may all beings complete the collections of wisdom and merit and attain the 2 holy bodies arisen from wisdom and merit. May the precious superior mind of enlightenment be generated in those who have not yet generated it, and not decrease in those who have developed it, but increase continuously. So thank you all, wherever you are, and I hope you've enjoyed this little session. And we'll be back next week, possibly from the Peaceful Land of Joy temple, dependent to the conditions of COVID lockdowns here in the Great Southern Land. And so in the meantime, enjoy your practice of Holy Dharma. Any questions? So thank you all very much and take care of yourselves. Oh, so we're just waiting, maybe some questions. Any questions? So yes, there's a question. Last week, when we were discussing the need for a guru, did Buddha have a guru? Yes, Buddha had many gurus over many lifetimes, and Buddha wasn't. Buddha was just a normal, ordinary sentient being like ourselves, experiencing all the highs and lows of samsara as we do in many, many previous lifetimes, and these many of his previous lives are in the Jataka tales. And so Buddha had many gurus and had attained enlightenment prior to his birth in India 2,600 years ago. But his showing his birth and renunciation and these things showed that having a royal rebirth where he was a prince to become future king, and showed he went through the seeing the various states of suffering when he went out of the palace, that his dad had tried to protect him from seeing life. And he saw a sick person and an old person and a dying person, dead person, and a wandering yogi, so on 4 different journeys to the outside, and then decided to become a Buddha, or decided to leave the royal life and pursue, knowing that all life ends in death, so to become enlightened was his mission. And this is showing that even for what we think of as probably the highest state of a human being, having a royal birth or great wealth and respect and all these wonderful conditions that come with royalty, that he abandoned that, showing that it's still samsara, and it was still for his father, his mother, and himself, and all these subjects that still end in death. So the practice of Buddhism is just overcoming all suffering, and then you can choose, once you are a Buddha, you can choose rebirth in whatever way you want to benefit living beings. You can appear as a royal, you can come back as a prince, or you can come back as a teacher in any form. And so all Buddhas have teachers. And so when a person attains a certain, the realization of bodhicitta, the wish to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, and that is a genuine state of mind, then that person is a bodhisattva, and they are then on the path to enlightenment. So Buddhas have gurus, and everybody has teachers in some form. So it's good to have a guru with the 10 qualities if you can find them. And Geshe Acharya Thubten Loden had these 10 qualities, and so we can use his wonderful books as our guide on the path to enlightenment. So I hope that explains that. Thank you for your question. So I think we'll leave it at that. Thank you all for attending, being here, listening. So go make yourself a cup of tea or whatever and enjoy the week. If you're in lockdown, perfect opportunity to read, think and meditate, and to practice great compassion for all the beings who are suffering. It never stops. So with a pure good heart of bodhicitta, enjoy your week. Thank you.